On the fifth day in the Himalayas, we left the Everest Base Camp track and started our ascent to the base camp of Ama Dablam. The real adventure was about to start, the climb of this beautiful and iconic mountain. We knew it would be challenging, but we were ready to begin what we have been preparing for. As we approached the towering walls of Ama Dablam, the origin of its name became clear. Ama Dablam meaning mother's necklace. The long ridges extending from either side resemble a mother's arms protecting her child, while the hanging glacier on the southwest face resembles the sacred jewelry box, or Dablam, traditionally worn by Sherpa women. During a short water break, we took one last moment to enjoy the view of the imposing Everest massif. The next time we would see the world's highest mountain, it would be from the summit. After a surprisingly fast ascent, we arrived at the base camp, which would serve as our starting point for the upcoming days. Unlike the narrow high camps, the setup here was quite comfortable with cozy beds and delicious meals. A perfect place to recharge during the upcoming acclimatization process. Up here at Camp 1 we all felt great, so we decided to use the rest of the day to climb a bit higher for further acclimatization and to fine-tune one last time the techniques we would need from Camp 1 onward. The landscape had become noticeably rougher, but the view we already had at this point, around 4,700 meters, was absolutely mind-blowing. Back in base camp, we ended the day with plenty of warm tea and good food. The next few days were going to be tough. Before ascending for the first time to the high camps, a Puja ceremony was to be held. This ceremony, traditionally performed by a lama, is a way to show respect to the mountain gods and the spirit of nature, and to ask for their blessings for the upcoming expedition. During the ceremony, we had our gear like crampons and climbing harnesses blessed. As I sat there with the mighty Ama Dablam looming behind us, I felt an overwhelming sense of respect and excitement. The sheer power of the mountain combined with the reverence of the ceremony created an atmosphere that was both intimidating and energizing. With the spirit of the ceremony, we packed our backpacks and set off to continue our acclimatization towards Yak Camp. As the air grew noticeably thinner, we paused at 5,000 meters and gazed at the unfolding mountain panorama, with iconic peaks like the over 8,000 meter high Cho'oyu and the pyramid-shaped Pumori. Shortly after, we reached the still white ridge of Ama Dablam, which would lead us all the way to the summit. From this perspective, the mountain took on a new form, one I had seen in many photos before. It was breathtakingly beautiful. At around 5,600 meters, with Camp 1 in sight, we arrived at our highest point of the day. We soaked in the views, talked about the route along the ridge, and enjoyed a cup of sweet, warm tea before heading back down to base camp. After a restful night, we made our way towards Camp 1 for the first time. The plan for the next days was to spend 2 nights at Camp 1 at 5,800 meters and to reach Camp 2 at 6,000 meters with the goal of achieving optimal acclimatization for the upcoming summit push. We made our way slowly but steadily uphill towards Camp 1. Just below it, after crossing a scree field, the terrain became steeper and we reached the camp after a short climb. Up here, it didn't take a long time to feel the effects of being at nearly 6,000 meters. So after setting up our tents for the night, we took some time to rest. From my tent, I enjoyed the view of the summit, which now appeared very close. And from the steep southwest ridge where the camp was located, we had a breathtaking view over the Khumbu Valley, with only the majestic peaks of the Himalayas rising above the sea of clouds. The sunset provided a stunning display of colors, leaving me with a good feeling as I crawled into my sleeping bag. However, it would turn out to be a long and uncomfortable night. Due to the altitude, I was plagued by severe headaches that kept me awake, only manageable with a lot of painkillers. Not recovered from the night, but filled with anticipation, we continued the ascent the next morning. From here on, the climb became significantly more technical as we made our way up the steep ridge towards Camp 2. After about 2 hours of rock climbing, we reached the key section of today's route, the Yellow Tower. This striking steep rock formation just before Camp 2 is one of the most challenging parts of the entire ascent, a near vertical climb of around 30 meters. At this altitude, this part was especially exhausting, but it's manageable if you follow the correct line along the rock. Shortly after, we reached our goal for the day, the infamous Camp 2, known for its exposed position. As the pictures of Camp 2 I had seen before suggested, it was very cramped and we had to be quite careful as the camp was secured only with little space on the steep rock. We spent some time here at 6,000 meters and during a small snack we studied the icy and steep route towards Camp 3. Afterward we began our descent back to Camp 1, where we spent another restless night before heading further down to base camp. Before we could head for the summit, we spent another full day in the comfortable base camp, getting plenty of rest and enjoying good food to recharge for the most demanding part of the journey. The past few days at high altitude, especially the 2 nights at Camp 1, had been exhausting but productive. With our return to base camp, the acclimatization process was complete.